have now? There we go. Okay. This is a mighty interesting game of operation. Right. Yeah, you might say that I overcomplicate things, and you would be right. Can't wait to have a load of smoke floating out of those holes. That's going to be fun. So this whole plate is going to move right the way forward. All right, here's the fun. I've got a half guitar, and we need to remove a bunch of LEDs. And in the end, brute force and chaos, carnage. Why not? While I've been at Brighton Pride for the weekend with the kids, Franco has been doing what he said was going to be 2 or 3 hours. It's easy, mate, no worries. All weekend?
All weekend.
All weekend. We have reached the now seemingly inevitable point where I say, this is going to take longer than I thought. It's a 3-parter. Welcome to Luthier's Tips, Tools and Training from Crimson Guitars. I'm Ben Crow.
I'm Sam Falloon.
We're guitar builders, and this whole channel is about my journey as a luthier, exploring new techniques, new skills, trying to push boundaries and basically keep it interesting, have fun. I'm not going to not be using chisels. I'm not going to not be using wood. This is my first love. But we're going to be playing with different things. This is the second part of a bit of a rebuild of this instrument. We had Franco come down. He is an incredibly talented traveling guitar tech going around the world with some pretty cool bands. And he came in and prototyped up a smoke machine, fixing the abomination that was the LED setup that I put in, with no knowledge of how to do LEDs, or no experience at least at that point, and in lockdown in a shed that I'd just built. Enough excuses, or can I come up with a few more excuses?
Go on.
Yeah, it needs anyway. Now we are going to take what Franco built and make it pretty, and customize where the switches are and add some mounts. And Sam has ripped everything out.
Not
burn it. Sam's got everything out and is going to be redoing a lot of the wiring. Sam is particularly good at this side of things, and while that is happening, I'm going to be creating a custom mounting system using molds and rubber and cold cast bronze, which is something I've been playing with that you've not seen on the channel yet. So yeah, let's do that. At the moment, switches are currently on the backplate, and before much more time is out, we're going to mount all of those up along here. We have switches that control the fan for the smoke system, the momentary on-off actual smoke going through, 2 separate switches for LED systems.
Yep. And the lasers.
Thank you. I knew there was something else. How could I forget? Lasers. Now this has got a cavity there, which is nice, and the switches are going to go all the way along, and all 5 of them just about fit along there. It's going to be quite an elegant solution. It's in the field of play, where your hand is going. So you're playing, and you can use the switch without having to go all over the place to figure out what's up. Okay, so it's fairly thin there, fairly chunky there. What I'm going to do is run the switches along the front edge, so it looks purposeful. Or maybe, yeah, centered on this section here, but along the front edge. So it's just a case of doing some drawing. Measure, measure, cut, people. No, no. Sam has convinced me. I'm going to center them on however thick it is at that point. It looks a little bit more purposeful. These switches are so close together that it works. Look at that. Like 2 minutes into a video, I've changed my mind already.
I'm not shocked.
You're not shocked?
No.
The curves mess with things as well. It was all supposed to be a very randomly built sort of jury-rig guitar, and it's yeah, that works. Of course, it's a 16mm hole I need, and 16mm appears to be a very strange drill bit that almost nobody has, so I'm going to be doing this in a couple of passes. Yeah. I sort of forgot to expect that. Somewhat embarrassing. To stop that happening again, I am starting the cut with the Forstner bit, then going in with a 12mm center point cutter, going all the way through, and then going back with the Forstner bit to just remove a couple of millimeters. It's a far gentler process. By drilling the center out with the center point, I'd removed the location hole for the Forstner bit. In order to make sure that that was in the right place, I needed to start with the Forstner bit, then take the center out. So this is now self-centering in the hole that I started earlier. Finally, well, not finally. There's going to be some fettling afterwards, of course. See if you can tell me what I'm doing here, before I, in a couple of seconds, tell you what I'm doing here. Much like Ready Player One, why can't we go backwards for once? Really fast, I think the quote was. Essentially, if I had pushed this drill bit through as it is designed to cut, it would at a certain point grip and grab and tear out material, leaving chips. I've done this a multitude of times over the last 20 or so years of my career. However, using friction, driving the drill in reverse, you get the cut, get the hole the size you need, and it's not pulling with teeth as the drill is supposed to. If you learn nothing but this tip from this channel, well, I'd be sad, but also learn this, use this. It's so good. I don't even know where I learned it. Now, obviously that only goes as far as the step, so I haven't gone 100% of the way through. nor at the correct angle in that case, but far closer to where we need to be. Let's finesse this. Okay, Sam has put some cloth-covered wire on each of these things, and it's just a case of installing them. Now, because of the size, the depth of, or the thickness of the sides, I suppose, in this case, and we're going to be naughty. We're just going to glue it in. It's not that naughty because A, we're not selling this guitar, B, it's a moment to drill it out if we need to replace this in 10 or 20,000 pushes. Yeah. This is the momentary switch for the smoke machine. Yeah, that works. That works really well. We've given ourselves a huge amount of extra wire so that when we cut the excess off, we have a usable length of wire rather than just an inch or two. Super glue will be fine. I have a precision applicator, and this is the fairly thick crimson super glue. I'm going to hold the guitar upright so this doesn't go where I don't want it to go. I can get a little bit of glue down on this side and then turn the instrument upside down, because I have complete access to these switches from behind. And of course I'm not gumming up the works. I'm applying my super glue where I want it to be, just around the edges, because hey, it is still a physical mechanism, and then you could mess this up. I'm going to mess this up, aren't I? Just because I mentioned the possibility. Sam? Don't let me mess this up. Cool, one more to do. This time I'm going to run the wires through and then put the Globulous Glue. The Globulous Glue, that is a new glue brand name if I've ever heard of one.
Ultra.
The globulousness of... Thinking about the bug-blattered beasts of Trarch for some reason. That's cool, I'm happy. Sam is now going to take this beastie and do a bunch of wiring, and I am going to take the little vapor pod smoke machine thingy and figure out some sort of a casing for it. Yeah.
Okay, so as you can see, we've currently got a bit of a mess of wires. Essentially, I want to make this as elegant as possible, which will require for, well, each of these wires to run as a single piece without any joints. The plan, well, I say the loose plan is to have the smoke machine assembly up here on the top horn. So I've got one of the switch wires that I'm going to feed up and around to that, and then all the other wires for the LEDs, the lasers, and the vaporizer part of the smoke machine are going to go down into the cavity here, where we're going to have the batteries, well, most of the batteries anyway. There are a lot of batteries in this thing, probably, I think 5 in total. A lot of power. So yeah, initially I'm going to run all of the wires over along the back of the guitar in a nice, well, I guess almost bus cable really. They'll then feed into here and then go off into, yeah, the abyss. First of all, use the first wire in the chain, which is from the momentary switch for the vaporizer. I'm just going to lay that wire down with a couple of drops of super glue. Okay, and at this point I can start cutting down a few of the wires, and I'm going to label up all the others just so I know what everything is. These 2 first ones in the chain are going to the vaporizer kind of battery pack, which is going to be in here. So yeah, they can get cut short. I'm just going to go through, label all the others up. We've got obviously the other ones for the lasers and the 2 sets of LEDs. So yes, a lot of wires. Okay, so now we're up to this cavity. The other 4 wires for the LEDs are going to go and terminate in here. This is the point where I want it to kind of kink off. So I will first just put a drop of glue on the wire where I want it to bend pretty much. Is right there. I'll lay that down again, making sure it's nice and flat and straight. Bend it with some pliers so I get a nice sharp bend, and that will go over like so. And then I'll do the same with the others, following that same line. So this bracket is now pretty much redundant. So I'm going to take that out, just give us a bit more room. And of course, it's held in with flathead screws. Or a combination of screws. This one is in particularly tight. There we go. And it's gone. Okay, so now that bracket's out of the way, we can get started wiring up the LEDs, which is what these 4 wires are connected up to the 2 LED switches. First though, I need to run a couple of new cables for the neck LEDs, which will then come down into this cavity. And I will also wire up the body ones and also have them come down here. Might put in the batteries as well, just so I can get an idea of spacing.
We've got a bunch of batteries here, more than a few cavities, just trying to figure out positioning. So I'm thinking the 3 9 volts there, these double A's will go quite nicely in here. And it's just, we want this to be attractive. Hell, I potentially want the cavities to actually be, if not open, on display somehow. Yeah. It's very, almost cathartic going in and doing things on an instrument that I made years ago at this point. No project is ever really finished. In my mind, no project is ever good enough. This is the vape that's been deconstructed and turned into a smoke machine, essentially. And there's going to be a tube coming off here. We're going to block the end of the tube, put holes in it, so that as the tube goes in these cavities, it will have essentially directed flute holes. We'll need access for a charging cable, unless I want to put an extending cable on the little USB-C there. Yeah, it might make sense for that to be nicely and tidily installed in here and out of the way. Decisions. The issue is we do need access to this so we can fill the tank. Damn it. I want it in there, so you just grab the tube, pull it off, refill. The tube will then potentially actually externally, no, the tube goes around and back on itself through in there. All right, I'm going to take this thing apart and see where we're at.
Okay, so we have a plan. I've laid most of the wires out at this point for the switches. I'm going to now take this back to Crimson headquarters and yeah, carry on. We've got a few pretty flimsy looking wires just down here for the LEDs, so I'm going to swap them out with something indestructible. Yeah, you won't be able to break it for certain. So yeah, the next time you'll see this will be at headquarters. About halfway through, I now have the LEDs wired in, both for the neck and the body, and I'm just now getting the smoke machine part wired up. We've got the two AA's for the lower bit of the smoke machine, and then we've also got, which I've already put in, you can just about see it, the battery and charging port in there as well. Just about to get the final bits hooked up to the actual smoke machine itself, and then we're on to lasers. Don't kill me, I'm using a soldering iron to shrink heat shrink. Sacrilegious, I know, but it is necessary. So now we can test, see, hopefully, if all is well, the smoke machine should work. Actually, at this point, not got the blower hooked up yet, but the coil itself should activate. And it does. Wonderful. That is a relief. Okay, so now pretty much have all the kind of ancillary system electronics in place. We've got the blower and the coil, although that's not in at the moment, for the smoke machine, battery pack for the blower. All the 9-volt batteries are going to be down here. We've got the two lasers in as well, they just need fixing down. The charger for the smoke machine is down there. Ben's going to make a nice cover for that. I've obviously got the kind of big bus cable coming down and branching off, and then a multitude of other wires inside. I've just put the pickups in, wired them up with the cloth covered wire instead of the kind of standard PVC coated stuff that the Fishmans come with. That was a task in itself. There are a lot of wires, but they're all in now, so the final stage on my part at least is just going to be putting in the actual controls for the pickups themselves. So I've got 2 push-pull pots, volume and tone, and then the push-pulls will be for the different voices on the pickups, and then a 3-way toggle, and that's it pretty much. So yeah, I'm going to get that in now, and then this thing will be over to Ben.
Well, Sam has done an absolutely incredible job on putting this beastie together. He had taped the batteries down so they wouldn't fall out when I did this, and then of course I took the tape off. It's all functional, everything's doing what it's supposed to, etc. I missed one. There we go. Which is incredible. When I originally built this, much of the LED wiring was, I thought it was clever to take each leg of the LED and fold it over, solder it to the next leg, and basically use that as the wire, which is fine, except solid core wire, when under tension or movement, snaps and breaks. So Sam did have a few situations where that happened, and a little bit of effing and blinding occurred, and I apologize, Sam. So I need to put on the pod, make the tube that's going to direct our smoke. That is held in place but not attractive. There's a battery in there. The wiring is absolutely gorgeous. Sam is a master of his craft, and just because it's not going to be seen by many people, other than you guys of course, doesn't mean it shouldn't be gorgeous. There's a laser that I asked him to just fit in there, and I'm going to make something to hold it in place. And there's the charging port. I like the charging port just floating there. So I'm going to be putting this backplate in, but at some point that hole was a little bit too close. This happened when I built it, and over the in the intervening process, that has come unstuck. This is an easy fix though. Snap the end off a cocktail stick, and I'm just going to super glue that in place. Well, let's just make that nice and square. Give it a few minutes and my screw will hold in quite nicely. Snip. And I'm not going to actually drill a hole here. I'm going to use an awl to just start a hole, and then the screw will go in nicely. Now the screws that were in here were fairly boring, and I found some lovely old tarnished with verdigris and stuff. These screws are a little bit larger than the ones we used before, so I'm actually going to go in and drill it out. There we go. Gnarly. I love it. For this one here, I'm going to basically make this system with the hose, cut away an access port here, so you've permanently got access to the pod that you need to refill. These batteries can't be allowed to rattle around. They can't be allowed to cause trouble. And I'm going to create a mechanical locking system that pushes all three together. I've got this little, it's actually a magnetic threaded insert. And what I'm going to do is sink that in the side, about there, and then lock that in. place and basically create a very gnarly little thumb screw. Put a piece of rubber on the outside to hold the batteries in place, and we're golden. Now this is going to be partially visible, I would say, but I don't mind. Now with an inside ground gouge, just to open up those corners just a little bit. I've now got a lock nut on here, tighten the bolt on through, and what I need to do is make a little silicone rubber cover because I want to. This stuff is incredible. It's a 2-part silicone rubber, quick cure, and I love it. 6.54, 6.49. You saw that. You saw me get within 5 grams of perfection by eye. Oh yes. Okay, so essentially, squish that together. I've obviously made far more than I need. Do what the job is, which is grab a golf ball, and I'm going to surround that whole thing with this rubber, and then just for fun, as this is going off, see it's already starting to go off. Let's get that skull. 2 minutes later, or maybe 3, we've got hard rubber and a mould. I wonder if I could put that on the guitar somewhere. I've got the imprints of the ball. It's all good. Let's grab a little chisel. Tidy it up. That's not a knife. Okay. Okay, it's there. That flips on down. I think I probably need to make that lower. Right, but I've lost quite a lot of weight recently, and this leather is going to be of use, as is my little chisel. It'll do nicely. Okay, so the leather's sitting there. Batteries in place. Oh yes, I had forgotten. Okay, I'm holding that in for now. That needs to be secured in place. I'm going to have to put some glue down there shortly, but for now that's just wedged in, gluing the leather down. Okay, we're coming together. Trim the leather so it's straight. Basically, I need to give myself a little bit of room that way so that this does what it's supposed to. And that screws in place and locks them in. Probably overcomplicated. To be frank, a a clip would have done. What can I say? It actually does cover that. Slightly off the screw holes, but that's fine. So I need a bevel on the outside. Very important. And a smaller one on the inside. Not quite so important. So I'm pushing the copper wire through and then around into that bevel that I've just created. And amusingly, my fingernails are actually strong enough to do that, which wasn't what I expected to be the case. Yes, I will use a chisel for basically anything I possibly can. Try and talk me out of it in the comments. The question is, how the hell did I end up doing this? This was not something I had planned until about, maybe 5 minutes ago. Oh my giddy aunt, it worked. Woohoo! These scissors are about 100 and they're around about 120 years old, potentially, something like that, maybe a bit more. I've had them for a day. They don't look like they've been sharpened in a long time, and I've just managed to cut some relatively fine velvet quite nicely after cutting some copper foil. So good scissors. Use the cardboard there, and for safety's sake, I'm just going to glue the whole thing in place. I've made a mistake. I've covered the other circle, and I prefer it without the black, and also the black kind of wicked my super glue underneath into the copper, and it just looks a little bit messy. You can sort of just see the glue there, but the mistake I made is that I put the black in there at all. Having a transparent grill just looks better. So, well, I'm gonna have to rip that out now. I made it too well. Just getting excess super glue off, and I can go again. I'm not going to film this bit because you've seen it before. Here's the second wind. I love it. That's now done. I've got the supporting structure behind it. I need to cut that off in there quickly, mustn't forget. But before I can put this in place, god damn it, I really don't want to put mesh on there. I like that it goes all the way through. I like the dichotomy. So it's got stuff on the front and anyway. Lasers. I need to get this laser pointing out of that hole, and I need to leave it pointing out of that hole. What I want to do is use just a standard hook, basically, or loop or eye or whatever the hell you want to call that. I swear these little Archimedes drills are one of my favorite tools. I would like to know how it is that I got distracted by a few holes that weren't even part of the original plan for the day. What the hell? Okay, big pliers. It's where I want it to be. Perfect. With this screw down, yeah, I'm very, very happy so far. Now I need to approach this, and it occurs to me that with the pod there, all that's going to do is flood this chamber with smoke. That chamber is connected to every other chamber. I'm interested to see what happens if I don't bother with tubes, etc. The eagle-eyed among you will have noticed furniture hardware. Let's see if I can fit that in somewhere. But first of all, I need to cut away some cable access. I don't really like that shape. I take it back. I love that shape. With the wires in there, that's fantastic. Okay, so what I want to do is put a couple of bolts here that the plate wedges underneath, and a little finger hole here on the side of where the pod is to stick a little finger or a tool in to lift it, and then some sort of system to lock it. It may even just be that we put a pair of screws in. Why not? We have reached the now seemingly inevitable point where I say, this is going to take longer than I thought. As much as I try and convince myself, I do want to put some copper in those hex holes. It just makes sense. We have got still to sort out this vape assembly. I've got some plans for the backplate. I need complete access to change this pod out, and yeah, it's got to be elegant. It's got to be easy. It's got to be something that you can do without too much difficulty. I still need to wedge the charging port in, and I'd like to make that look nice. We took this random little cast of the silver skull and crossbones thing earlier, and I'm thinking cold cast aluminium, and I don't know where to put it. It's a smaller section. It could potentially live there, but there's another element on there. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think. This guitar is almost fully functional. We've got side LEDs that work. We've got now the central acrylic section, which works very, very nicely. We've got lasers shooting out of the side. I'm not sure if I should actually point those at the camera or not, so let's all my eyes. I'm not sure how that's going to sound. What currently isn't working, and which is the main reason for the delay, because I was quite happy to keep on doing this until the small hours. My smoke machine. This smoke machine that has been made out of a vape is currently not functioning. It's doing nothing. And yeah, 20 to 1 in the morning is not the time to be phoning Sam to come and help me troubleshoot. I mean, he's still going to be awake, but he's doing his own little projects. So I'm going to leave that for now. So in the next episode, there will be some cold cast, basically resin and aluminium powder. I'm going to fill those two in, sort out an easy access backplate, potentially wedged, something cool. And it's also going to be time for us to actually hear the guitar. So thanks for watching. Click like, subscribe if you haven't. Let me know what you think. This guitar was begun ages ago, during the beginnings of COVID, really. I was never particularly happy with it. And Franco came along, and in our discussions it became obvious that this was the thing that he could work on, and he prototyped the smoke. He figured out the lasers, he figured out the little motor that is pushing the smoke machine, and we took it and broke it. Just a little bit. It's probably just one wire. Sam is a masterful guitar builder in general, but also electronics whiz. Makes effects pedals for shits and giggles, very nice ones. And I like cutting into things and trying to make them look pretty. So between the three of us, I think we're coming up with a fairly cool guitar. And the next video, you'll see it completed. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you soon. There's lasers on my face, aren't there?